Good afternoon, friends. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with me. I am Reggie Edwards, and I'm the ED for the Encouraging Place. And the Encouraging Place does a host of things. One includes women's outreach. We do bring groups together to talk through racial equity and racial healing. And in Christmas, we do a Pride for Parents Christmas store. But you can see all of that on our website, theencouragingplace.org. But today, I am so delighted to have with us Pastor Philip Walker. Now, this is our second virtual lunch huddle, and it's going to get sweeter and sweeter and better. So keep on coming and keep on checking us out. But Pastor Walker, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I'm ready for them to see the little engine that could. Go ahead.
Engine that could. Of course, Philip Walker. I'm the senior pastor of Mount Pleasant Worship and Outreach Center. I am originally from Raleigh. I grew up in Southeast Raleigh in particular. My background basically is pastoring and software engineer. I worked for IBM for about 21 years as a software engineer and was bivocational for about 7 years and became the senior pastor of Mount Pleasant Worship and Outreach Center in 1994.
Okay. I did not know all that. So tell me, you're telling me stuff more and more every day. Well, y'all, I want y'all to take a look at man, they're doing some great things. Please help us show that to everybody what they're doing over in Southwest Raleigh. Yes, indeed. That is what the Lord is doing at Mount Pleasant Worship and Outreach Center. I am so delighted to have you on here, Pastor, because I told you, your church is the little engine that could. I mean, all that y'all saw, that's the building project that they've taken on, and they've got residents in there. I mean, they're doing great things to the glory of God. So I'm just excited. So tell us your story, though. Put this on your heart or the church's heart to get into affordable housing. How did y'all do that?
Well, first of all, Reggie, let me say thank you for having me on
Sure.
this YouTube broadcast. We are very deeply grateful to be able to share our story and get the word out in terms of how a church can significantly impact the community that is around it.
Love it.
Let me just kind of briefly say what's happening in the city of Raleigh. Raleigh is experiencing a dearth in affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that is very interesting about it is Wake County is a very attractive place and people are moving here. There are 50 people moving to the Raleigh area every day. There are 1,500 people moving to the city of Raleigh every month. So this is creating an explosion of opportunity for business growth, etc. However, it is creating an affordable housing shortage. Raleigh now has an affordable housing shortage of 17,000 units.
Wow.
Wake County has an affordable shortage of 66,000 units. And in 2029, it is projected to be 110,000 units of affordable housing shortage. And the thing that is really most disturbing to me is that senior citizens, people over 55, leading the statistic for becoming homeless for the first time.
My.
Because of this explosion of wealth and amenities that this city has to offer, it is creating a skyrocketing rent prices as well as home ownership. And people who have historically lived off of Social Security are no longer able to keep pace with the rental increases. So therefore, we're getting a significant increase in homelessness with senior citizens. This whole hodgepodge is creating an affordable housing crisis, or the affordable housing crisis is actually already here. It's just going to get a lot worse. So that is one of the things that as a church, we are seeking to be a part of the solution today. Now, as far as us getting into affordable housing in 1994, we needed to build the church because the facility that we were in was substandard. We built this facility, a brand new facility that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars at the time. However, the community around the church was in serious disarray. There was drug dealing, there was prostitution, there was gang banging, gun violence. All of these social ills were around the church. And we offered things like turkeys at Christmas and toys at Christmas and turkeys at Thanksgiving. And we would go out and knock on doors, and many times people wouldn't even open the door. We're trying to tell them about Jesus.
Yeah.
But what we needed was a holistic solution.
There you
We
go.
needed something that was going to address all the problems at one time, but we didn't have it. Now, when we built this building, Senator John Winters, who was the first African-American senator since Reconstruction to serve in the Senate in North Carolina, it got his attention.
Yeah.
And he wanted to talk to us to see what was going on. And he was enthralled because he saw somebody doing something in the community and making significant investment
Mhm.
in that community,
Mhm.
nothing that had been done in that community of that magnitude for decades. So
Mhm.
it got his attention and he wanted to talk to us. And he came to us and said, "Hey, I have this apartment complex that is called Mondi Porres." Well, we
I
were
remember it.
very
Yes.
familiar with Mondi Porres
Mhm.
because that was the epicenter of
Yeah.
violence, that was the epicenter
It
of
was.
prostitution,
Mhm.
gang banging, you name it. It
Mhm.
was nothing for us to sit in our church and hear automatic gunfire during the worship service. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, I spoke to a glass company about putting plexiglass on the window to stop a bullet. He said it would stop a 22, but it wouldn't stop anything higher than that.
Mm,
So we knew
mhm.
that was a waste of time because they were shooting stuff that was much more high powered caliber weapons. And so we knew that we had some serious issues. But John Winters came to us and presented to us the opportunity to get Monteporis. Now you can imagine we're a small church.
Yep.
We're less than 100 people. We just built a brand new facility.
The little
We were
engine
more
that
concerned
could.
about paying the mortgage.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And my big vision was pay the mortgage, maybe purchase a couple of houses on the street,
Mhm.
and use this for transformational services. And if I could do that, I felt I would have made a significant investment and an accomplishment in my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
However, God had a bigger plan. He had bigger designs. And when John Winters offered to us Monty Porres, he said, "I'm getting older." He had tears in his eyes because he saw that what we were doing was really phenomenal. He
Wow.
said, "I'm getting older. I'm not going to be here longer. And I want to make sure that the property that I turn over, that is not turned over to slumlords." He saw the building and he said, because you guys have invested thousands of dollars in the community, that means that you're going to be here. You
Yeah.
invested, you care about this community. And we said, "Well, Senator Reynolds, that's all well and nice, but we so broke we can't pay attention. It's no way we can purchase a $3 million apartment complex. That's just not going to happen."
Mhm.
And he said, I know, but let me tell you something that's going to help you make this a reality. It's called low income housing tax credits." And he began to explain to us how that worked. And
Mhm.
that is what we began to pursue to get acquisition of Monteporis, which gave us a foothold in the community and to be able to stop some of the violence and begin to turn things around.
That's amazing. I remember Martin DePorres, but the first, housing area that you have is across the street from that, right? Or
No, Monteporis is the first one.
was the first one?
We did 2 tax credits. The Armando Porras was a $3 million rehab, and Summit in Sawyer, which we'll talk about later, was a 154 apartment complex that is all new construction. So we've done 2 of them over the years, providing approximately 200 units of affordable housing on Sawyer Road.
Wow, that is so amazing. That is so amazing, but I mean, it's sad to see that the people who are being priced out of neighborhoods are who? Black and brown people. I mean, and like you said, the statistics show it's going to continue. And it always makes me say, okay, Raleigh is progressing for who? Whom or whatever. I mean, it's a sad story. So what do you do? What when a neighborhood develops, it's developing who benefits and who gets left behind.
Right. That is exactly the case. Who's going to benefit and who's going to be left behind?
Mhm.
One of the things you just mentioned is very important. A lot of the units and houses, I will say houses that were in our community were historically owned by Black people. It was
Yeah.
99% white. But as gentrification has occurred, a lot of those people have been priced out as
Mhm.
a result of the increase in insurance and the increase in property taxes. So they end up selling their homes at below market value. So the neighborhood, the dynamics are changing very rapidly as more Black people have been pushed out. Brown has been pushed out. And we're seeing other races move into the neighborhood that was one time historically Black and that
And
was
they wouldn't even come
equity,
over there.
generational
Yeah.
equity. Yeah, within those homes. So when we talk about developing community, it has to be a strategic plan to help those people that are living in that community
Mhm.
stay in their community. And that is why affordable housing is one of the most important things that we can do.
Mhm. I agree. I'm so amazed when people talk about what what can be done or we can't do it. Somebody else has got to do it. But you're the perfect example is yes, you can. Yes, you can do it. But I think people must, I don't know, people don't understand that whole thing about tax credits. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I
Sure.
never knew anything about that.
Yeah, tax credits have been around for since 1986, and the government has invested literally billions of dollars in tax credits. What the
Mhm.
government does when it wants to build affordable housing, it will allocate millions of dollars each year to each state. And
Mhm.
that state housing finance agency will in turn allocate those dollars to each county. Each county will then in turn send out an RFP for developers who want to build affordable housing. Now, this is the beauty of it. The developer, say for instance, that housing project, that complex costs, say $1 million.
Mhm.
He can apply for, and this is a very high level, overly simplified explanation, he can apply for a $500,000 in affordable housing. So
Okay.
he is able to build that complex for just a $500,000. So at the end of the day, he is able to pass on those savings in lower rent. Now, the only caveat is that developer has got to find an investor with private dollars to purchase those tax credits and give the money to them to build it for $1 million. And then those tax credits are written off on that private investor's tax books at the end of the year for at least 10 years. So it is investors that are purchasing the tax credits, giving the money to the developer. And of course, the church is a central partner in that LLC. An LLC must be formed. The church is a central partner in that LLC, making sure that things are going to flow the right way, but also after the brick and mortar project is complete, they're going to be there for a number of years to provide those wraparound services to the community. We believe it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a
Does.
church to raise the village.
Say
So the church
so. I love it.
has
I
to
love it.
raise the village after the affordable housing is completed.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think, well, if it I mean, it's not simple. I know it's not a simple process, but what's so overwhelming about it? Why nobody else is doing this but you? I mean, what do you think it is?
I think it in part is they just don't know about it.
Okay.
And that's why
Okay.
I'm very grateful for you today to giving me a forum to be
Yeah.
able to speak on this.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that a lot of them don't know about it. I know that I have presented this to many pastors and they're hearing about this for the first time.
Mhm.
And I think that in terms of knowledge, knowing about it will go a very long way. There are a lot of black churches that has land around that church. Some of them have 30, 60 acres around the church. Do you know how much affordable housing can be built
I hear you.
on that land if they just make some to make that a reality. So I think it's about educating churches, letting especially the African American churches know, Hispanic churches know that there is a holistic solution that you can bring. You don't have to provide a soup, soap, and a sandwich, and that's all you do as far as outreach,
Really.
but you can take the whole thing. One of the things we wanted to do once we did Martin de and we changed the name of Martin de to Shama Winds. The
Yeah,
word
yeah, yeah, I saw that. That's why I got mixed up as to where was Martin DePorres, but it's right there where Shaman Winds is.
is
Right.
Shama winds now. Shama meaning God is there, winds meaning his spirit is blowing in the community. So
Love it.
once we achieved the tax credits with Monteporis, we renamed it to Shama Winds, saying that we're just getting started.
Mhm.
They gave us a much bigger vision. We're saying that not only can we take Monteporis, we can take the whole street.
Come on,
So
come
our
on.
vision became how do we take both sides of the street,
Mhm.
do affordable housing, and then have the wraparound services that are necessary around that affordable housing. So our big vision took some years to be formalized and to be actualized. However, over time, we have virtually got the whole street by land banking and by
Oh, that
credits
is
with
too wonderful.
200 units of affordable housing. And I think that pastors need to realize that you can do a lot more.
You can
You can
do
do
it.
so much more than just provide simple outreach. And I'm not putting that down.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. It is needed. It's tremendous value add. But I just would like to encourage them, hey, take a look at tax credits. It's a possibility. There are billions of dollars that are
Mhm.
being invested in this.
Mhm.
And as a church,
Mhm.
we need to take advantage of this to revitalize our community.
I hear you. Well, had you seen this before in other areas, or this is just y'all knew you could do it, the opportunity was there, and y'all went for it? Or had you seen it happening anywhere else in the nation?
No, I had not seen it before. I wasn't even aware of it. That's what I'm saying. Pastors need to be made aware. I wasn't even aware of it till John Winters came and knocked on our door and said, "What a
Yeah.
beautiful facility! I'm going to be leaving Earth soon, and I want to make sure that my apartments is in the hands of good people. And will you take it?" And I'm thinking, "What? We don't have any money." But
Yeah.
he showed us and he explained to us tax credits, and that's when we had our initial foray into it. And of course, we had an attorney. He explained everything to us page by page, piece by piece. And then we began to do additional investigations. I began to take classes on what tax credits was about, learning
That's
how to
cool.
actually
You
do a
got to.
tax credit in the process of doing a tax credit. And that is how we learn. That is how we learn. So it has its complications.
Yeah.
But I would tell anybody it's not so overly complicated that you can't do it. You don't have to have 100 people. All
Yeah.
you need is a very small church with
Little
people that are
engine that
very
could.
highly motivated.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a church with 1,000 people. When I tell
Mhm.
people the scope of what is happening on Sawyer Road, they automatically assume the church is 1,000 people. And
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
tell them the church is not that big,
I don't think they realized that was that little church
yeah,
was the church.
realizes they're small. Our church is not huge.
Mm-mm.
Our church before pandemic was around 200 people in terms of
Mhm.
size congregation.
Mhm.
Since pandemic, we've been reduced to about half of that.
Uh-huh.
And what was interesting is that when we were building this latest tax credit development, the 154 unit that we call Summit at Sawyer, we ran into the pandemic.
Okay.
And of course, that reduced us a little bit further. However, that did not change anything. You don't need to have 50 people doing it. All you really need is a team of about 4 or 5 people
All
that
right.
are motivated to get it done. And that 4 or 5 people can really make it happen.
Mhm.
Again, you don't want a ton of people doing it because of the complexity of it and because some things need a very quick turnaround decisions, and running things through a church meeting is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
impractical.
Takes
So a
forever.
committee of about 3, 4, 5 people working together on that tax credit can make that a reality for the
Mhm.
church.
Mhm. I hear you. So, all right, let me go back to you telling me now where Martin DePorres was. So that's Sawyer, right? Off Garner Road. That's Sawyer Road?
The corner of Sawyer
Sawyer.
and McMakin. You turn off of Garner Road onto McMakin, and then
Oh,
you'll run into Shama Wayne's, which was the first $3
the
million
first
that
one.
was
Okay.
then down the street. You'll see Summit at Sawyer. So our desire was to take the whole street. So we have virtually taken that whole street with the exception of one house that is on the street. And then we took all the way down to Carnage Drive. So we took a block and a half through
Mm,
tax
mm,
credits. And so we got ownership of the entire side of that street, and we were land banking on the other side. So therefore, we were able to take not all of that, but a large piece of it. So we are the principal landowner, developer, so to speak, on that street. And one thing that I'm gonna say too, real quick, is that when Mondeport, the old Mondeport, it felt like we were under siege
mhm,
by all the violence and
mhm,
prostitution and everything that was going on
mhm.
in the area. However, once we got control of the dirt,
Uh-huh.
we could control what was happening in the community. And that's really important. If the church can get control of the
I
dirt,
love it. I
then
love it.
you can dictate this is what we're going to allow, and this is not what we're going to allow.
Mhm,
If you deal drugs, you're going to be either going to jail or you're going to be getting ready to roll up out of here.
mhm,
But you can't stay here. As the
mhm.
old saying, we ain't telling you to go home, but you
You
got to
got to
get up
go.
out of here.
I hear you. I hear you. So let me go over here. So how would you say gentrification impacts more than just housing? What what does it do to culture, relationships, the history of a neighborhood? I mean, gentrification is like a cuss word. I mean, but anyway, talk about it.
I think gentrification is not necessarily a totally bad thing. I think as long as it's gentrification with justice
Hmm.
and there is
Yeah,
respect for what existed there before this new development came into place. So I think that gentrification, if it's not properly guided, will destroy the culture of what
exactly.
has existed for decades. I've seen that happen wherein gentrification was occurring and this historically Black church had been there for many decades, and new people coming in wanted to turn it into a bar.
Mm, mm, mm,
That
mm,
was
mm,
astounding to me,
mm.
that this church has been here and served the Black community, and now you want to turn it into a
Bar?
bar.
Yeah.
And other things like that happening, that people coming into the neighborhood need to understand the culture. This
Hmm.
is who was here. This is not a hostile takeover, but this is something that needs to be done in a way that respects who has been here, respects the culture of what has existed,
Hmm.
and then we work together. So that's why we say raising the village,
Yeah,
because a
I love
new
it.
village has been created. but that village has to be raised with respect to the old, but also respecting the new, that we actually can work together as one and we can raise something else up that's beautiful because what has existed is not going to be there anymore. But it doesn't mean that all of that has to go away. So the village has got to be raised and somebody got to raise their voice and say, this is how it needs to be done. And I think the church is a central partner in all of that happening.
I believe that. I believe that. I believe God has equipped the church to do it if only they catch hold to it. You know what I'm saying? I think he has. I mean, with him driving and us following, anything can happen. Any good thing can happen. But I think you got to believe that. You got to trust that God wants us to do more than turkey giveaways and now, Easter egg hunts and you know what I'm saying? That we are equipped to do more. And you have crossed the line so that people now they don't have to jump out there and say we don't know who. They can come and talk to you. They can come and say, "Hey man, talk us through this. Talk us through, how it can be done." And so you the Pied Piper, you had to jump out there and do it to say, "It's possible. It's possible." No, you don't have 10 billion zillion members in your church, but the ones you have, they got the vision immediately and they went right for it. And that's really exciting. So go ahead.
That's really important. I think that we are on the leading edge of
Mhm.
something that's happening in the
Mhm.
city of Raleigh, and that is what we have done can be replicated,
Mhm.
not only in the city of Raleigh, but really throughout the United States and throughout the state of North Carolina.
Mhm.
So we're very excited about the model that really is developing even as we speak. But this is something that can be replicated and something that the tax dollars are there in order for this to happen. Some of the other great value adds in terms of doing a tax credit,
Mhm.
we had a young lady that had never made more than $9 an hour in her life, but we made her our property manager, and she is now making much, much more than that. I don't
I
wanna
hear
share
you.
her salary,
I hear
but
you.
she's making substantially more than that to the point that she was able to purchase her own home. One of the things that I told her when I said, call the person's name, and I said, "What I wanna see you do better. I wanna see you become a homeowner," because she had been homeless, and
My,
so now
my,
she
my.
is
Really?
She's
Wow.
a homeowner. This woman had actually slept in a tree with her children because she had nowhere to go.
Mm,
But she
mm,
is now
mm.
a homeowner and doing really well. And when you do tax credits, you can make sure that minority businesses are the ones who build it. You can make sure that the opportunity is there for them to do well. The jobs that are created in terms of maintenance, in terms of property management,
Yeah.
that is a godsend to the community as well as a community quietening down so that people feel safe. They feel good about where they are. They feel good about where they live. That, oh man, I live on Sawyer Road. That's the worst street in Raleigh. No, I
Mhm.
live on Sawyer
Mhm.
Road. Sawyer
Mhm.
Road. This is a beautiful place and a quiet place to live.
Mhm.
So all of the stuff that happens as a result of the church, the economic improvement, the justice, the community getting this voice, being able to kind of guide that community development beyond the brick and mortars project, creating economic justice and then generational wealth. Our idea is that we want to not only see you get into the affordable housing, but we want to provide opportunities for STEM and as well as education and then home ownership, which is kind of out of the reach for a lot of people right now, but
Mm.
home ownership and mental health. So
Wow.
it's the generational wealth that we want to see happen, especially with Black and Brown.
Mhm.
How do we create that generational wealth that this is your foot, this is a way in, this is your
Mhm.
base, but you got
Mhm.
to work up and work out from here. And
Mhm.
so educational home ownership, saving money toward a purchase of a home, getting grant funding for the first time home ownership, all of those things people may not be aware of. So we want to make them aware of how do you build generational wealth from affordable housing. And then that was a long answer to your question, but there are
Really?
other churches. The Nehemiah Project came from a church in New York, and they have built thousands of
Yeah.
houses in
Mhm. I've
Brooklyn, New
heard of that.
York. So there are other churches that are doing this. I just have not seen one do it in the city of Raleigh. And I'm not saying that there is none. I'm just saying I'm not aware of a church in the city of Raleigh doing this. But I think that a lot of us can do it and should do it.
So, when I think about it, it's like you all are sitting in the middle of it's all happening right here in the middle, but there's stuff around it, right? Other housing, other buildings around that developers have put over there. So the community is enclosed by what am I trying to say? Expensive other projects. So how have the people those residents worked with the community that's there? Or have you seen any a little bit of something? Are they doing
Well,
or
this
is
is
it
how
all
we are.
us and them?
We're in the process of doing those things now. Our two affordable housing projects, apartment complexes on Soy Road. Across the street from us is Two Line Place. It's 200 units of affordable housing, but also on the street there are 38 homes, townhome type structure that has been built. The starting price there is $545,000 each month. So we have affordable housing, and then we have the townhome style homes that are there. Beautiful homes,
Yeah,
545.
yeah,
And then on Ghana Road, it has been gentrified. Houses are starting there at around $400,000. So a large part on the back side of the church is really not affordable. It starts at around 400, 425. And we're seeing that happen in the whole area. So the church, we call ourselves the Tree of Life that has been planted in the community, and so we have to engage everybody. This
mhm,
is a
yep,
tremendous
yep,
opportunity that is way
mhm,
over our head.
mhm.
We're going to need God to help us do it. But long story short, we are engaging people. We are giving every resident as they move in a welcome basket, saying, "Come to church." Knocking on their door, talking to them. One of the last efforts we did, we went to the houses that were starting at 545, knocked on the door. "Hey, we're Mount Pleasant. We're here. This is what's happening in our community. We want to get you as a part of what we're doing."
Mhm,
So people are
mhm,
saying, "Oh, I want to come to that church. I'm going to check you out."
mhm.
So it's about building relationships. That's the only
Wonderful.
way that it's going to happen. Is you got to knock on doors and offer people something. I'm not here to necessarily tell you about Jesus, not right away anyway.
Not right now. It's coming.
As we build relationships, I have the opportunity and you will give that to me. But right now, it's about how do we rebuild our community and how do we do it intentionality, because we don't want the project to become the projects.
There you go, there you go. Don't we
So,
hate to use that word,
yeah,
but
but
that's
we
where
got
we
to build
use
this
it.
with intentionality.
Yeah, mhm, mhm. I hear you, I hear you. So the other people in that community are seeing the good thing that you're doing, and well, they're looking at it. They're looking at what y'all are doing.
They're looking at it. We had a tree limb fall on our neighbor's house, which is behind our church. And it did a little bit of damage to his car. So he was telling us about it. And of course, we covered it with our insurance. However, he said, "I heard about what the church is doing." Now, this is a white guy that's
Mhm,
behind the church. Never
mhm,
met him before.
mhm,
I didn't think he knew anything about the church.
mhm.
He said, "I heard about what the church is doing in the community." So the word is spreading not only just with people that are living in affordable housing, but the word is spreading with the people that are coming in that have wealth, that have access, and they're interested, I think, in terms of what's happening. And of course, we invite them to church,
Mhm.
to our life groups, and to come and be a part. We got a long ways to go, Reggie. I'm
Yeah,
not
I know, I know.
trying to sell a bill of goods here.
Mm-mm.
We have a very long way to go in terms of building relationships one at a time, and then casting vision and understanding what they want. Because at the end of the day, it's what they want in their community. We certainly want to see things because we are part of that community, but we want to understand what the needs are there. So doing some resource mapping and talking to people, inviting them to church, doing things like a soccer league.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Y'all doing something over there on that yard right in front of the church, on the side of
Yeah,
the
a
church.
soccer league in terms of, and we engage the children. We find that if we engage the children, that we can easily get the adults.
Mhm,
So some of it is a giveaway of baskets, welcome baskets, an invitation to come to church, but also doing things in the community, food trucks, soccer, girls softball, STEM, things of that nature. Wherein if we get the kids, then we can in turn talk to the adults and begin to build a relationship with them. So
mhm.
again, it's can be a little bit exhausting, but eventually it's like a flywheel that will turn on itself and you have the momentum to get it done. So we got a ways to go as far as raising the village, and only God can help us to do that. We're not going to be able to do it in our flesh and ourselves.
There you go, but you are there, and he's the one he's using right now to do that, you know? So when we talk about racial healing, we're often talking about conversations, all right? So how do you see affordable housing as a part of the work of reconciliation?
If you were to ask me what racial reconciliation, if you want to get a really good start at it, I say economics.
Okay, well, I love it. I
I'm
hadn't
not
heard
going
it
to
like that.
come by y'all moment with you.
Come on, come on.
Nobody wants to have a kumbaya moment, and at the end of the day, we all felt good, and we had a nice little
You go right
service
back to what you came
together,
from.
and then you go right back to where you were. You have a substandard housing, you need a car, you need a job. It's about economics. Slavery was about economics. Jim Crow was about economics. And what's happening in America today, I call it the empire striking back. That's about economics. It's about economics. So if we can level the playing field economically, then we're going to automatically have a whole lot of racial reconciliation,
Mhm.
because it's hard for me to feel like I'm going to reconcile to you and I'm looking at you and you got all of the marbles
Yeah,
and I can't play.
and I don't
It's
have
it's like me and you playing basketball and I beat you every time when we play. There's no motivation for you to want to continue to play with
there
me.
you
You just
go.
gonna walk away and say, "Well,
Mhm,
you got the game, you got the ball, and you just keep beating me up every time."
mhm.
So I think that racial reconciliation, it boils down to me one thing: is economics.
Yeah,
I'm not looking
love
for.
it.
I know it's a spiritual problem. I understand the natures of that spiritual problem, but I think that once you address the economics of racism, then you can begin to have the proper healing, because it says not only are you invited to the table. I
Mhm.
can't stand that saying we're going to invite you to the table, because when you say you're inviting me to the table, that's patriarchal.
Uh-huh.
You don't own the table. God owns the table,
Mhm,
and He's already invited all of us to the table.
mhm.
So I believe that it's about economics. I think it's about leveling that playing field and making things right. And when that happens, then we really can have that service. We can have that kumbaya moment
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
can happen, because I feel good and about what's happening in my life, about my
Mhm.
children's welfare, about my welfare, about my future.
How many original homes that were in that neighborhood are still over there? It's
Not
it's
many.
it's not that
Not many.
many,
It is not many.
'cause I think it's 2 down the street from the church, right? 2
It's
houses right there?
two down the street from the church on the right side and one on the left.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Wow, so
Now,
it's all gone.
way back in the day, there were houses on the street. I
Mhm.
cannot give you an exact number.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
would speculate somewhere around 10 to 15 homes were
Yeah,
on that street.
'cause I remember that, I went to Carnage, so I knew what was over there, you
You're
know?
giving away your age now.
Ah,
Okay.
somebody gotta be older than you.
But it was probably around 12, maybe 15 houses on that street. But all those houses are gone. It's, as I said, one on the left side, and then there's maybe two on the other side. So gentrification, affordable housing is happening in the community. And again, I don't think that that's a bad thing, as I said, as long as it's done with equity and with justice and
There you go.
respect for what was there.
There you go. What know that you've heard from the residents that's in the new affordable housing complex? What have you heard from the people?
Well, even when we did change Martin DePores to Shama Wins, we began to immediately hear from people. It was saying, "Thank you.
Mhm,
We appreciate what this church is doing. It's
mhm,
giving us rest.
mhm,
The violence, the gunfire, all of those things that are happening, were
mhm.
happening. It gives the community rest."
Yeah.
And then they're excited about the programming that we do. Reggie, I can tell you something that is interesting to me is
Mhm.
seeing people move into the neighborhood and then walk across the street to church
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then leave their walk and then
Go back home.
go back home. Everything is within walking distance. So
Mhm,
I think that it has been a blessing, and I think that the people who are able to see what this church is doing, they're blessed by it. And it makes me feel really good when somebody says to me, "Hey, you guys are making a difference." And it also feels good when things are happening and they come to the church and say, "This is happening in our community and we don't want it."
mhm,
Uh,
mhm. That's good,
and
yeah.
can you address it?
Mhm.
Sometimes that does happen. They come and knock on my door. They feel like the church door and feel like, okay, things are not happening. Let me talk to Pastor Walker. And I say, okay, we'll get on it. We'll see what we can do to fix it. And so the church is becoming more ingrained in the community.
That's it now, you told us about the lady who's now your a project manager?
Property
I mean,
manager.
she's the property manager? Are there any other stories kinda like that of people who've come up that you saw? I mean,
Yes,
you
that
knew them before, and now you see where they are.
and she is one. We've had people in our church to go through something called IDA, Individualized Development Account, and get grant funding to purchase a home.
She's a
We've had
testimony too. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, so she wasn't the only one. We've also, as I said, we've done things in the community to help turn things around. I believe at the heart of everything is Jesus. He is the
Yeah.
reason for that dramatic change. And honestly, what we do, it is a kingdom initiative. It's not just a social program.
Yeah, yeah,
The impact is a kingdom impact, and that is our job. So seeing people, their lives changed and being transformed, when people move into the neighborhood and they're struggling and they come and they understand this is how I can do better. This is how my kids can do better. That to me is where the impact is actually lying, is when we build that relationship so that we can have a deeper understanding of what kingdom is and how it can change. I believe the church needs to make everything around it look like kingdom, and
yeah.
not, if it looks like hell, so to speak, then the
Come on.
church should make
That's
it
what
look
you're gonna
like
have.
kingdom.
So I mean, I'm going back to this. Most people would think it takes a mega church budget to do something like this, right? That it's got to be a big church with a whole lot of money. But what alliances or partnerships made this possible? Who else came to the table, if you can say that?
Yes, absolutely. It depends on the nature of the tax credit. The first one we did, it was just us and the developer.
Mhm.
So it was very small. Mount Pleasant Ventures, as it was called. It was just the two of us in that LLC. It was a 32-unit apartment complex, so we didn't need a ton of people in the LLC. With Summit at Sawyer, we had 5 people in the LLC, or 5 entities, shall I say? I don't say people, 5 entities that were in the LLC. You want to have a developer, somebody who understands tax credits and knows how to build those units. You want to have a rental company that can actually rent it up and make sure that it stays in compliance. You want to have possibly a project manager. There are different people you have in the LLC, and it is really up to the LLC to determine what we need to make this happen. But those are the principal people that are a part of it. You
Okay.
also may have an investor to say, I want to be a part of it as well.
Okay, okay. Well, the audience, there are 3 questions in the chat from the audience. So, what's the 3 questions? Let me see. This is excellent. Question: How does the church continue to fully own the land after working with the builder or investor?
Okay,
That's the
that
question.
you're gonna love this. It can be structured wherein the church has a first right of refusal, so that in 18 years the church has total ownership of everything, and all the partners go away.
Okay, okay. That's interesting. So, what long-term monetary benefit does the church get to continue to build and, expand?
The monetary benefit, now you got to remember, we are building affordable housing,
Sure.
so you're not trying to make a killing
No.
off
Uh-uh.
of the rent, and the rent has got to be fairly low. So as far as income that is being generated from the rent, straight up, frankly speaking, you're not going to get a ton of money.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
again,
yeah.
you're
That's
not
it.
doing this
But you're blessing
for,
people.
you're doing this to re-strengthen and build the community. It's kingdom investment and kingdom ministry.
Mhm.
But again, once the church, with, if it has first right of refusal built into the contract, once you get it, you can sell it to another entity like yourself, but the city and the county will want to see that property continue to be a tax credit for at least 30 years. So in about 18 years, you can actually sell it for whatever the profit is on that,
Mhm.
but it has to be sold to a like entity. So within 20, 30 years, and I know that's forever, the profitability of that coming to the church then. And again, the pastor has to have very long range vision to say that, hey, we want to be sustainable in the future, especially financially. Then that will be a tremendous godsend and a value add in terms of cash to the church, especially during that time.
Okay, so this next question is, are you building apartments, townhomes, or homes for rent or for ownership? Or
We are
is that
building
in the plan?
apartments for affordable housing. As I said,
Okay.
the plan is to help people move from the affordable housing and help them to understand what the resources are to become a homeowner.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
it's all affordable housing. The rent started around $675, $700.
Which is next to
So that's very
impossible in
affordable
Raleigh.
with Raleigh. You can't find anything in Raleigh for pretty much under $1,200. 675, 725 in that area. That's where we began. It is 40 to 60% of medium.
Mhm,
Depending on where you fall in there, that's where your rent will fall.
mhm.
But you do need to have income,
Yeah.
at least 40 to 60% of medium. If you fall in that range, your rent, associated rent will be in that. frame.
Yeah, okay, and the next question is how do you qualify for one of these homes?
Again, the 40 to 60% of medium income, as long as you fall within that range,
Mhm,
you qualify.
mhm, mhm.
Now, one thing about it is you they fill up fast.
Yeah, that's what I know you got a waiting list.
Yeah, so a lot of people that are moving in there, especially that 40%, you gotta get a shotgun to get them out of there.
I
Uh,
know.
they're not going anywhere. They're gonna stay there for the long haul. Well, people get in, they don't go anywhere. They make sure their rent is paid on time. You're not gonna have any problems out of me.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
They ain't going
so
nowhere,
just
right.
just just know that the units do come available. Unfortunately, some people do get evicted. Units do come up. I would say check at Summit at Sawyer, United Property Management.com, and look up Summit at Sawyer or Two Line Place. Those are the two affordable housing complexes that are within the area. Two Line Place and Two Line Place and Summit at Sawyer. Go to UnitedPropertyManagement.com. Look up those two subdivisions, and you
Mhm.
should be able to fill out your application online,
Okay.
or they will mail the application to you, or you can go to the rent office and they will fill it out with you on site. So you have three ways to be able to apply for these units. And I encourage everybody, hey, look, even if it's something that's not available, get on the waiting
Get
list.
on
The
the
waiting list is not that long, but get on the waiting list. We have a really decent property manager in our units and as well as in Two Line Place, and they will help you fill out the application and then
Mhm.
go over it with you if you feel like you need that level of assistance. But you can send it in electronically by email or by snail mail or by regular mail.
Okay, okay. Now, next question. Getting into a home and being able to sustain living there are two different issues. Will there be personal finance education offered?
You're right, and I'm assuming you're saying getting to affordable housing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just. This is the question that was presented here. Um,
Well, what we do as a life group, we do a life group on financial planning and building generational wealth. That's one thing that we offer as a church a couple of times a year so that if people are struggling, they need to find out more about saving money, home ownership, basic finances. That's what it is about. So that's what we do as a church. There are other things that the city of Raleigh offers. I would say check that website as well. They offer grant funding for first time homeowners, if that is the way you want to go, $60,000 of grant fund free. You don't have to pay it back. And then that has created second mortgage financing so that the first mortgage is doable. And within 10 years, that's when the second mortgage is added on to the first mortgage, which gives you time for your income to grow. There's help with the down payment, the second mortgage specialized financing. There are creative ways to make that happen.
mhm.
But as a church, what we offer is we do understand that people getting in there and staying in there, sometimes that can be a struggle.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Reggie, from the last meeting that we were in together with the Just Fund, we talked about how one thing that we are seeing with Summit and Sorry that we did not see is that sometimes it takes everything that a person has to get into the unit.
Mhm,
And once they get in the unit, then they are in trouble right
mhm,
away.
mhm.
So we're beginning to address how can we help people if they get in the unit that they stay, that they don't become one of the statistics as
Statistics.
far as
Mhm,
homelessness.
mm.
Because once you get there, we want you to stay.
Yeah.
And so all of these things holistically have got to be looked at by the church.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Next question. Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
I'm not so sure I would do anything differently. I think the first time we did it, I was scared. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
gonna lie.
supposed to be.
I was afraid. I was thinking if anything happens with this, it's not coming back on me.
Yeah.
So I played a very, very small role, a role that was much smaller than what we should have played
Mhm.
because I was afraid. Second time, it's like, oh no, 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 I'm not scared anymore.
I'm jumping
We're
on out
gonna
here.
be we're gonna put back big kid on the block this time.
Yeah.
So I think, and this wasn't a bad thing. We were moving into an area that we knew nothing about. So we said that as far as ownership, we wanted as little as possible. I think if I could, I would say we want more of the share of what's happening.
Okay. I mean, what
That's what I
what's
would do
happening?
different.
How do you mean?
Well, more of what share of in terms of what happens in 18 years, what happens in 30 years, and what the church percentages of those things would be.
Mhm,
I think I would do that differently, but really, I don't think I would do a whole lot different. we had to learn. We had
Yeah.
to grow. It was a growing experience and a learning opportunity for us. So I think that if we were to do things differently, I would love to have been a little bit more aggressive, but
I hear you.
it just was a learning opportunity for us.
Mhm.
I think that also now the first time we were just saying, "Thank you, Lord, we're glad to
Yeah.
get this," and then we began to see some problems on the backside. I think that if I was to do it again, I would have a much greater vision as far as what the community looks like. I
Mhm.
was telling the mayor this not too long ago, is that building affordable housing is great, but we have to think beyond affordable housing. We have to think about community.
There you go.
What
You
are
gotta
the
look at it that way.
amenities? Yeah, what are the amenities around the community? How is it gonna be sustained? How is it gonna be supported? What things are attractive that will draw people here and keep them here? What is the services that are around that affordable housing? And I think that we did not do that the first time
Okay.
because it was a big learning curve for
Sure.
us. Whereas now we've done it before, so that piece is okay, that we got that.
Mhm.
Now is how do we look at the bigger picture that is beyond affordable housing? So if I was to do it again, and I don't know how we would have done that, but I would love to have looked at it from a much bigger perspective. My vision was too small.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. And the last question is, can a person who's been evicted qualify for your program?
Now that's going to be a problem,
Yeah, yeah,
and that is that
I
is
hear you.
that is
That's what I thought you were gonna say.
yeah, it will be a problem. We still have to adhere to the standards set
Sure.
by the federal government. Otherwise, we can jeopardize the tax credits.
Mhm.
Tax credits are in place for 10 years. And in that 10 years, we have to kind of walk a chalk line as far as what the federal government says has to be done to maintain those tax credits. So, long short, a person has been, they probably are going to have some issues getting in the two-line place or Shama Wins or Summit at Sawyer. And that is unfortunate. But we don't really have anything in place to help that. We would love to, but you can only do
You
so
can only do
much.
exactly, exactly. Well, this has been a wonderful learning experience for me, because, when I first heard about it, I said, "Oh, no, I gotta see." And that's why I made that appointment with you to say, "Just let me see it. I wanna see it myself." And now every time I have, friends come in town, it's like, "Let me show you what's going on in Raleigh," right? And people are amazed. So, for people to contact you for more information, they can visit mountpleasantworship.com.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, okay, and we sure want all kind of groups to call. We want pastors to call. We want people to know you can make a difference. You can make a difference. You can't just wait on the other people to do it. You can make a difference. Just believe God and keep on walking and make it happen. I'm sure that all the people that are in those apartments are so delighted to be there. And like you said, it'll take a crowbar to get them out because they have found it, right? And I'm so grateful that your church has done that. I think it's going to be an example to many. You were the pilot, and I think people now going to be ready because, like you say, affordable housing is becoming who there won't be such thing in a minute because
Right.
of how many people are moving into the area and how many people are losing everything. So I think you will be the example that people will go by and the people who will come to you and ask a real live person, how do you do it? And that you're a person of color. We just got to go and say it. Okay. So I thank you so very much for being with us. And we're going to keep on keeping on, and I'm going to keep up with what y'all do.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. All right.
Thank
God
y'all
bless.
so much for being with us today. I think this was a wonderful way to spend your lunch hour. And we'll be back next month, every fourth Thursday from 12 to 1, bringing you some more good stuff. I've got some good people in the wings that's waiting to come and share. So we look forward to your joining us again. And we're going to keep watching Pastor Philip because they're doing some great things over there. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Reggie.
very much. And we'll see each other soon. Okay. Mhm.